high fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Radical Chill Pill. My name is Scott, and I'm here to talk about everything movies. Today's movie is Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Remo Williams is about a man recruited by a shadow organization to become a world-saving assassin. His name is Remo Williams, and the adventure is about to begin. Quick note, if you find these videos humorous, helpful, or both, hit that like button. It really helps out the channel, and I definitely appreciate it. Remo Williams was filmed in 1985. It stars the late, great Fred Ward, Joel Grey, Kate Mulgrew, and Wilford Brimley. I don't think I'm going to be doing Cocoon on this channel, so this might be the one and only time you hear me say Wilford Brimley. Check your blood sugar. Check it again. The film starts out, it's nice and slow, a little bit of introduction, and boom! The catchiest theme song you've ever heard. I looked it up. Legally, they had to play this 9,000 times before the end credits. If this is your first RCP video, I swear they get better than this. Or do they? We start off, we have a NYPD officer who gets killed, wakes up in a hospital with a new face, is told that he's been recruited by a shadow organization that does not exist. Stop right there. Stop. If this is the pitch meeting, I'm sold. Shadow organization doesn't exist. New face. I'm in. I'm in right there. Boom. A mysterious man comes into his hospital room and gives him a new identity by looking at the name and literally the name and the location of the bedpan company. Now, I love crap like this. Pun intended, bam! He goes on to say that he's a decorated cop, a former Marine, the best they could get. Now, as a former Marine, I'm gonna say, Remo Williams, welcome to the ranks. You know, you go in there with the Punisher and John Stewart, the Green Lantern. The original War Machine, look it up. He was not in the Air Force, he was in the Marines. We'll take you. Now, in the opening scene, we see this guy, and he's chowing down on cheeseburgers. He's listening to, he's betting on sports games. He's completely ignoring the dispatch calls that are going out to him. So nothing really indicates that this guy is the best assassin in the world material, but we'll go from there. Now, there's just like, let's see, Lone Wolf McQuaid. There's a lot of like little scenes that are just going to get you pumped up. There's, right, he goes, you are going to be the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not get away with it. Yes! Yes! As a little kid, I was pumped. As an adult, I'm pumped. Like, whoever wrote this had me in mind, because I love this shit. Now, Remo steals an ambulance, and the driver is Reginald Vell Johnson, aka Sergeant Al Powell from Die Hard. Is it crazy to think that hopefully this ambulance driver's name is Al Powell, and he, like, you know, he's an EMS driver and he wants a little bit more action, so he decides to move cross country to LA, becomes Sergeant Al Powell, becomes like the John Wick of cops, like takes down mob bosses. There's like a hit out on his family, and he's forced to like witness protection program to go to Chicago and become Carl Winslow of Family Matters. Am I the only one who thinks that would be amazingly like alternate universe stuff? Remo's first hit is a man named Chun. Now, we've got to get this out of the way. Chun is a Korean master of Shinanju. When I was a kid, I loved Chun. He's witty, almost superhuman. He has hilarious messages. Deep down, he seems to genuinely have feelings for Remo. It wasn't until much later that I realized he was played by Joel Grey, a white guy. In fact, an Oscar-winning actor white guy, and the father of Jennifer Grey, probably best known for Dirty Dancing and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, why on earth would a white guy play a Korean martial arts instructor that comes with a very thick Korean accent? There's really no good reason whatsoever. I thought about this and how I'd kind of present this or how to address this fact. And I mean, a lot of things in the 80s maybe haven't aged well. You know, that's primarily what I do is 80s movies. But this should not have been okay even in 1985. Now, not only was this okay, but he was nominated for a Golden Globe for this role. And the makeup process, which took like 4.5 hours, was actually nominated for an Oscar. Now, right off the bat, some viewers are rightfully so going to be turned off. And if you're able to look past this and enjoy the movie, I get it. And if you're not and just say the producers, there's no excuse for this and I just cannot watch this movie, I totally get it. To make matters worse, the producers, they assumed the actor would be Asian and they said that they couldn't find someone suitable, which is one of the most bullshit excuses I have ever heard. Now, the group's mission is to take care of people who are able to manipulate the system and break the law. When we first meet Mr. Grove, he's the main villain. He's being investigated and the government investigator was murdered or disappeared, and there was witnesses to this murder who have since disappeared as well, including Skippy. Skippy? You killed Skippy? Remo, take this fool out! Next, we find out that Mr. Grove is a weapons manufacturer and he's been cutting corners, he's been cutting costs, and his new rifle is actually exploding in soldiers' hands and killing them. And this is not okay. This is not okay for anyone, especially not okay for former Marine Remo Williams. Get him, Remo! The bad guys decide to take out Remo and they ambush him at the Statue of Liberty. This is probably the most iconic scene in the movie. 9 out of 10 people you ask about this movie, this is what they remember. It is outstanding. The theme music's blasting. The bad guys are deplorable. The stunts are fantastic. It's got it all. What exactly is this guy doing? It seems like Remo could just catch the hook and pull him right off. He definitely wraps this rope around this guy's neck, and you think it's a neck snapper, this guy's done for, but later on somehow it's around his leg. I guess maybe they were trying to keep a PG-13 rating. The team realizes that Remo's been made, and they tell him that if the agency that doesn't exist is discovered, they all have to commit suicide, and Chun's been assigned to kill Remo. Chun confirms this, and the wind is taken out of Remo's sails. Now, this whole time on Grove's tail is Major Fleming. She's trying to figure out what's going on, and she keeps on hitting roadblocks every step of the way, so she thinks there's a little conspiracy going on. Now, Remo infiltrates the army base where Grove and Major Fleming are, and he shows us how to break an unbreakable window with someone's face. They try and gas him, artillery, machine guns, he beats them all. This is Remo Williams we're talking about here. Conveniently, for one of the fights and one of the action sequences, they're moving one tree 100 feet through the air through a forest of similar trees. Remo has a final showdown with Grove, tells him his name, mission accomplished, Grove's dead.
Who are you?
Remo Williams.
Now, they originally said that this needs to look like a perfect accident. You have an entire base looking for this guy. You've literally had a meeting where the base commanders were sitting around trying to figure out how to get him. You've had artillery shot at him. You've had machine guns. You've had 100 comms, walkie-talkie messages trying to figure out where he is. How is this possibly an accident? Chun is cornered, no way out, decides to show off his running on water lesson. His secret, you must run very fast. Who would have known? How do you know a movie's great? I don't know. How about when it's over, I snuck up on my dogs and the kids one by one and unleashed Shenanju on them. Also, at the very end, when Grove's like, who are you? And he's pretty much dead and he goes, Remo Williams. I fist pumped the air. I yelled out loud. I've seen this movie probably 50 times. It still gets me. Favorite scene's gotta go. By far, it's gotta be the Statue of Liberty. If I had to pick a second, I have always been a fan of the truck crash scene. It's one of the best truck crashes I think I've ever seen. And then I'm going to go and say that the whole little father, the Remo-Chun relationship and how that blossoms, that whole thing. It's hits you in the feels. It's touching. I like it. Now it's time for everyone's favorite categories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. The good has got to go to the character Chun, the master of Shinanju. As a kid, I love Chun. His character's awesome. Lesson 36, the 20 steps designed to bring a woman to sexual ecstasy, although Chun has never needed to go past level 7. Where do I find these lessons? I feel like Chun has a laundry list of satisfied women in his life. The other good has got to go to the late Fred Ward. He plays a fantastic blue-collar James Bond. I can't see anyone else playing this role. On a personal note, as a kid, there were 3 roles that he had that really impacted me. One was In the Right Stuff, one was Remo Williams, and the third was Earl in Tremors. I loved all 3 of those movies, and it definitely had an impact on me. So good on you, Fred Ward, and Godspeed. The last good has got to go to the dialogue in this movie. There are some eye rollers, but it's all in a good way. When talking about being an assassin and the training, he is told, all I can promise you is terror for breakfast, pressure for lunch, and aggravation for sleep. You know, you mix this in with the 11th commandment stuff and the shadow organization that doesn't exist. I mean, this is so 80s and so awesome. It's fantastic. The bad has got to go also to Chun, the master of Shinanju, just because of the casting, which I've already discussed. We don't need to go into it again, but it definitely is the big elephant in the room when you talk about this movie. The ugly has got to go to Diamond in the teeth. I mean, it's not even like a grill. It's like embedded in the front of his tooth. I don't know if he thinks that's a good look. I mean, I don't think there's any women out there who are like, ooh, you have a diamond in the front of your tooth. Like, let's go out sometime. Like, no, that's not happening. Its sole purpose, let's be real, is so that we can make the X through the unbreakable window and then shove his head through because it got cut by a diamond. Okay. The Lewis for Men at Work Award for Best Performance, as much as I want to give it to Chun, the bad is going to cancel that out. I'm going to go with the late, great Fred Ward. Like I said, you're charismatic, the ruggedness, the grittiness, but at the same time, there's some genuine bonding and laughter, and it just really looks like, you know, well-deserved, sir, well-deserved. Random facts, this is based on the Destroyer novels. The scaffolding on the Statue of Liberty was real. They were actually doing a renovation at the time. Dick Clark is the executive producer. They actually brought in a lot of the James Bond crew, and they signed Fred Ward to a 3-movie deal. He was supposed to be, I've read this twice in 2 different places, the red, white, and blue James Bond. Didn't pan out. Audience didn't get the traction they wanted. But I still love this movie. Also, a young Bruce Willis and Ed Harris were considered for the lead role. I love both those guys, but I'm glad that they chose Fred Ward. Like I said, I have a soft spot for this role. I think he does a phenomenal job, so I think they made the right pick. You didn't make up for the Chun thing, nowhere near, but you did okay on this one. RCP correction. I was looking through IMDb. Wilford Brimley, I'm thinking Cocoon's the only thing in the 80s besides this that I would know. The Thing and The Natural. I had a brain fart. Both phenomenal movies that I'll be covering. We'll get to see him, his mustache, and his chest hair, and his check your blood sugar. Check it again. I don't know why Wilford Brimley today sounds like freaking Clint Eastwood, but today he does. And you gotta love a man whose chest hair looks like this, and instead of saying, you know what, I should probably trim this, he's going, look at it, world, take it in. Take it in. And he's also a Marine. Well, that's it for this film. I have tons more movies coming up that you're definitely going to want to check out. So until next time, have a good one.
Who are you?
Do you believe we're the good guys?